Yeah, if this kicks out again, I know I should have did a Facebook stream. I haven't done Facebook in a while, but it's like I'll get a better signal on Facebook than with this PlayStation. Yeah. I'm gonna turn this Wi-Fi off my phone. Maybe that'll help. If I turn the Wi-Fi off my laptop too. Oh. I don't know what the. Yeah, this go off. Yeah. Windows 10 update. Oh my God, it's not responding. No, just close the program. Okay. Dang, I haven't used this art in the dark. What up, bro? Now I'm trying to turn all this Wi-Fi off, dude. I just started the stream a minute ago, and then like I'm talking, I look up at the screen, and then it's blank. Like, but I don't know. We got 3 PS4s in the house now, but 2 of them are hardwired. But just where I'm at in the house, it's still like this one doesn't have a hard line. So I turned the Wi-Fi off on my phone. I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi off on this laptop. Let me see. This thing is moving so slow. Alright, Wi-Fi. Disconnect. Alright, so now the only thing that's on is the PlayStation and the tablet for the music. Or what if I turn the tablet off and use my phone for the music? Let me see if that'll work. 7.2. What's that? Wow. About to have that thing nice. I got a little Panasonic. Ah, tell me you I got a little Panasonic. That's good enough. I wanna upgrade it though and just get like just get a tower. Cause what I got was a box set. And I was thinking about should I get a sound bar or the surround sound? I was like, well, I was kind of iffy about the sound bars. You know, I ain't never heard them. I ain't never know anybody who had a sound bar. I was like, I know, surround sound. You got speakers in the corners. Fuck it. I was like, let me get that. So, yeah, Panasonic had a nice little box set, yo. 6 speakers and a fucking a sub, and then the head. That shit is nice. But now I want to get just like a tower and like build my own speakers onto that shit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having that shit all come in one box, I want to just select the components I want individually, yo. 13 years, there you got your money out of that one, bro. Dang. Yeah, you got your money out of that. That's the only thing though, like if somebody text me or call me while I'm listening to the music on my phone, it'll pause the music, I think. My homie said he was at a baseball game. Yeah. 13 years old. Alright, dude. All-Star Baseball. I just need to talk to you. Everything's, what you gonna do? You gonna put that in a different room or are you gonna sell it? As soon as you put it on Craigslist, I'm gonna just ding, hit that up. Cause I've been thinking that like all I got in here is this, but it's nice though. But I was thinking about even like, I don't know, I really should organize my studio. I think I can utilize the space a little bit better than I am right now, but I am way too lazy to do it. But if I did, I was like, I should just get like some music in just for the studio instead of having the this right here. the little Bluetooth speaker. I don't know. And then I want one of those 4K TVs, yo. And but we got two TVs in the living room already, and two TVs up here. So I was thinking, like, if I get another TV, where the fuck am I gonna put another TV at? You know? It's like, and then if I get a TV, then my girl, she's gonna want a 4K TV. So then we have to upgrade two TVs and just have, I don't know, way too many TVs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yo. I wanna just get a receiver and build my shit, yo. And you got a Sony TV? Where I think that's the they're getting cheaper, but still that's an investment, man. It's like the one I see. Uh, Actually, I think I was gonna go for the Sony or the Panasonic, and even Vizio. My man told me he got a Vizio, a 55-inch Vizio, and he says it's nice. He's like, yo, this shit is the shit, and Vizio makes them. I got a Vizio TV, but it's an older one, but I don't know. I don't really want to spend more than $1,100 for a damn TV. Really, that's the whole damn thing. Why the music won't come back on? And some of them things you gotta take out a second mortgage on your house. You know what I'm saying? Get a loan on the car title for a television set. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. Okay. Exactly, and that's what I was thinking about doing, just like getting the whole Sony system. I mean, that's the console we use the most. That's the real foundation of our entertainment system is the PS4, yo. So of course, their 4K television is gonna be compatible. Like you said, everything is just might as well get Sony everything, yo. Like right now, this is a old ass Samsung TV. I don't even have a Sony TV, yo. I think I got this is Samsung. I got another Samsung, a Sanyo, and a Vizio. But yeah, I really might get that Washington D.C. Really. This is why I don't listen to the music from my phone. Hello? Yo, bruh, what up? I ain't know you had a DC number. Yeah, and I got a VA number. That's crazy. I'm like, yeah, who the fuck is calling from DC? Yo, let me. I'm doing a live show right now, man. Let me text you. Huh? I'm gonna text you, y'all. I'm doing a live TV show right now. All right. All right. now everybody want to text me. I text like two people. Now they're both texting me at the same time. I'm streaming right now, bro. Ow, what up, yo? You just made an order for the image to be painted. Whoa, bro. My legs, I got chicken legs, man. I've been trying to do some squats. They hurt, bro. Like, word up. Leg press, it's murder, man. You know what I'm saying? My legs are not doing well at all, dude. And oh, I did some calf raises, almost passed out, man. You know what I'm saying? 2 sets. I like to cry. I almost cried, no lie. Um, but for sure, if I don't know if you're on PlayStation Network right now, you can message me here on PlayStation, or you can contact me on Instagram or Facebook at Paintings by the Prince. That is my Facebook community page and my Instagram community page. Or you can contact me via email at travisprince81 at yahoo.com. Simple enough to remember. Uh, Bird legs, squat. Yo, skinny leg gang. skinny leg gang. No calves. No calf having ass. How do you even stand up? It's all in the mind. Cause my legs don't really do it. You know, skinny. I've been trying, yo. No lie, yo. Like, yo, skinny legs though. Like, skinny leg gang. It just flab. I can't even get no definition in my teardrop. Nothing, yo. Like, I don't know. I try. I, I don't know. Them leg exercises be killing me, bro. Screw that. Bird leg. It's all good though. Alright, so crap. Oh my god. I might have to go. My man don't want to come over here. He talking about come meet him. I don't feel like leaving the house, man. Really. I really don't feel like leaving the house. Honestly. Yes, I'm use some yeah. Use some of this crimson. And this is cadmium deep red. So I'm gonna use those two. And then I'm gonna use some radiant. Oh, check my IG. Some radiant red. Need some of that. Or well, let me switch that. I'm gonna use radiant magenta. And I may need a little bit of purple. A little bit of purple. I'm really, yo, what's up, Diamond? I'm really not trying to leave the house. I don't see anything on my IG. I got featured on art that inspires me. 49 minutes ago. But you can't see it, but yeah, 49 minutes ago. Art that inspires me, shared one of my paintings. Because I'm getting famous. Savage. What it do, homie? Somebody shared, let me see. Whoa. Somebody did share. Yeah, the model I drew, she shared her sketch I did of her. Man, that thing got 285 likes on her page, yeah. I shared it on my page. I got like, I ain't even want to lie. Let me see. Oh, that's more than I thought it was. I got 118. I'm not counting, but it's weird. Like, if other people share my art, it it gets more recognition for some reason. And I don't know, like some of them don't even have as many uh, friends on here as I do. It's weird sometimes. It's like I just shared that, and like I got 39 likes. Somebody else shares it, they get like 300 something likes. How does that work? I need to know how does that work. Teach me these skills. Like what the heck are you guys doing? Who are you? I don't know. No. It's the weirdest thing sometimes. I guess if someone else shares my art that then it's been validated, you know what I'm saying? You know, somebody vouching for me. It's all good. I don't mind. I don't mind that. Shit. I don't mind. Thanks, yo. Um, yeah, my homie still trying to get me to come out. I don't think I'm going to leave the house because I'm a slouch and I just want to paint. uh, damn. Yeah. All right, so let's work on her hoodie. Let's get some more details in there. I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of like switching some stuff around, just on some little stuff. Like, instead of having the Nike logo, put like a weed logo and it says "High" on it, or some shit like that. And not even like, you know, like high, but like high, like like HI instead of HIGH. Put a weed plant and then have "High" on it, and then instead of whatever this says right here, something crab, I'm gonna just put like "fuck Trump" right there, and that shit is gonna be fucking dope, yo. Oh, Killer Beast 566. Wow. Sound 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 pretty satanic there, buddy. Yeah, sounding yeah, my man DJ Swank. Yo, that was you. Yo, that. All right, hold on. I'll come right here. Swanky Instagram. Diamond Soul. Trying to do some business, man. Yo, what's up, man? What's good, bro? Anytime, anytime I get a commission, I stop all. This is all my own projects right here. I'm not working on no commissions right now. You know, this is just all these little paintings is just for me, just 'cause I like to paint. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep myself busy, so I ain't out there robbing you and your cousin, knocking you upside the head, talking about give me the wallet. So I stay my ass in my studio to myself, and I just paint pretty pictures. You know. So whenever you ready to do business, I'm ready to do business. I'm a businessman. You know this because you always find me in my places of business. Ask, I asked him how long you gonna be at the baseball field. He's like for another hour. I just said okay. That doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily not going. Because in an hour, a lot can change. You know, my whole demeanor may change in an hour where I'd be like, screw that, let me go to the baseball field real quick. But I'm going to snack on some more of these because I like hot wasabi peas, wasabi coated green peas. Happy, happy, happy. Ooh. Mm-mm-mm. Smells green. Mm. Alright, so let me get these reds. And make sure this is what I want to use for a minute. Just a little bit. All we do is a little bit of paint. Just a little dab, because if you use too much, you'll waste it. But if you run out, you can always add a little bit more. Especially when your paints are expensive as shit. And most oil paints really cost. Alright, so let's see what I can do with these three colors. Oh no, I still need to get that purple. How to check messages in IG? Yeah, it normally pops up that says, hey, somebody sent you a message. Or a message request without a friend request. Yo, my man is still messaging me, yo. I told mom, man, let's see. Oh, message request. Here it is. Alright. Yeah, I see that, but I don't see a picture. You say you just uploaded it to your page? Hmm. I can't see none on your page yet. But yeah, my standard size canvas is at 18 by 24, I think. Is this 18 by 24? Ugh, I'm gonna fall. Please don't fall. Oh shit. Alright. It felt like I was tilting, yo. Oh no, this is larger than the 18 by 24. So this is 28. It's 22? Yeah, it's 22 by 28. So let me see. Alright, this right here. So this is a 18 by 24 inch canvas. Yeah. So this is my standard size canvas. Um, and my starting price is 400 bucks. And it's normally for something like this, just a single person portrait from the bust up, or somewhere, midsection bust up, something like that. But on this size canvas would roughly be around $400 plus shipping. But It really all depends on how complicated, how complex the piece is, how much detail is in the picture, which will determine how much time I have to take to actually paint it. And so all of that adds into the final price. But you can see the size difference. So, and if you want a larger canvas, it just costs a little bit more. So this, like I say, you can see the comparison. If you say you want it on this size canvas, so this is not my standard size canvas, and I made the 18 by 24 inch canvas standard because it's not a terribly large canvas, and it's not a really small canvas either. And so you can pretty much see it from across the room. It doesn't take up a lot of wall space, and it's light, and so it doesn't cost that much to ship either. It's not like I'm gonna put like 5 pounds of paint on this canvas. So but if you do want something larger, I'll try to work with you. But the thing is, I normally tell people I have a standard canvas and a standard starting price just as a basis. Like really, I've never priced two paintings exactly the same. Just because there are no two photographs that are exactly the same. So I always say, you know, 18 by 24, $400. But to get a true estimate on the price, just let me see the photograph first. Let me look at it, and I'll really determine on how much time and effort I would have to put into actually painting that image, and give you a price from there. And like I said, plus you're gonna have to pay for your shipping. I live in Pennsylvania. The closer you are to PA, the cheaper your shipping will be. The further you are from PA, obviously, the more it costs to get it shipped to you. But as long as you can receive mail, you can get a painting from me. And I have a really good relationship with the local UPS because I've been using them for years, and I know the owner personally. The owner of the UPS actually has bought a piece of art from me. So they have custom boxes just for my paintings, and they package them good. I've never had a complaint about shipping or damage or anything to a piece. And I've shipped paintings to Alaska, uh, Holland, Amsterdam, Japan. Like nobody's ever complained about anything. All right, man. Yeah, just let me look at it, and then we'll talk about it from there, and see if you still want to go with this size canvas or not. Mm, you would have to send me a friend request. It's just my it's just my first and last name and the year I was born. So Travis Prince, 81, and it's a Yahoo email. So it's really easy to remember, yo. My first name, last name, birthday, or birth year, rather. I'm the only person who's ever done that. I'm so unique. You know, there is no David Andrews 1977. No, there's not. Kimberly Tyson, 2013. No. These peas are delicious. I never thought that green peas and wasabi would taste like this. You know? It's like, mm, keep dropping. Alright, let me get a brush. I was using the big easel, but the easel is too big for these little paintings I don't really need. Yep, that's it, exactly. No, the way you wrote it the first time. Travis Prince, 81 at yahoo.com. I made that email in 7th grade, 8th, wait a minute, no, like 8th grade. Alright. What I was looking for? A brush. A brush. I'm gonna use this brush because it's sitting right in front of me. Put some music on because it's right in front of me. Oh, heck. My homie said he was on his way. Oh, crap. man, that took forever in the day. My bad, guys. Just got back. Literally just got back. So it was a little bit of miscommunication. I still wound up leaving the house. Dang, I didn't want to do that, but hey, I'm back now. I ain't even look. I walked out the house with my paintbrush in my pocket because I walked downstairs with a paintbrush and I was twirling it like this, and I was like, I'm not leaving the house. I'm not going nowhere. And then I left the house. So I walked outside and I was like, I got a paintbrush in my hand. Back to music. And I need a drink. I'm thirsty as crap right now. I keep wanting to post this one. Your name is Oil Painter? Wow. What up, guys? Bruce City. What up, Oil Painter? That's uncanny. I've been painting. Get away from me, mosquito. Crap. It's hot, and I have my window open with a fan in it, and there are bugs coming in here. Crap. So, this is the first painting I did. I just went to the I went to Walmart and got a Bob Ross starter set. I don't know if you can tell that it still looks like Bob Ross a little bit. I got a little Bob Ross starter set, and I got a little canvas, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna paint Afro Samurai just because I was bored as fuck and had shit else to do. And that was in 2009. So I've been painting for a little over 8 years. Haven't quite reached that decade yet, but I'll get there. Be one of them grandmasters when I'm old, you know. I've been painting for 52 years. You know what I'm saying? That's how I want to be. All you gotta do is stay at it, keep at it, be persistent. You know. How long have you been painting, Oil Painter? Alright guys, I think I'm gonna get one more drink because these peas are a little spicy. I should just get a water or a Gatorade or something and not no soda again. The sodas are delicious, but they got a 35 plus. Dang! You're an old fucker. I do mean that with respect. I admire the old timers, you know. After 35 plus years, like, you know your strokes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if I do like this, this is the stroke that I'm gonna get. You know? If I blend this color and this color, this is the color I'm gonna get. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, for real, for the most part, most of this shit is practice. Honestly, I still feel like I'm practicing, trying to get to where I want to be at, where I can sit back and just and really Bob Ross that shit like masterpiece, you know, so I can make my own Mona Lisa, my own Sistine Chapel. But all this shit is practice, building up to that. I feel I'm just accumulating the skills right now, and defining my own fingerprint, basically. That's it. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. Nothing's a mistake. Oh yeah, that's the whole plan. That's the whole plan. And that's the mark of a great artist, where you don't have to see the signature. It's nice when a artist signs their work, but you know, some artists, they don't have to sign it. And you can say, oh, that's Monet, or that's Gauguin, you know, or that's Renoir, or that's Leonardo. That's right there. That's a Norman Rockwell. Obviously that's Basquiat. You know, that's George O'Keeffe. You know, and people have that fingerprint where it's theirs and it's nobody else's. And so all of this is practice, trying to get my fingerprint down pat. So when people see my shit, they be like, that's a Prince painting right there, yo. Alright, honestly. I really am about to get started. Let me go grab a drink. Alright, one last time. Grab a drink. I'll be right back. Put some music back on. Actually, that's what I was saying too. I listened to a part of this lecture earlier, and I wanted to finish it, but what he's saying something positive. Everything is duality. So he's saying something positive. So what is the negative side of what he's saying? And I like hearing things like that, where it's all positive, but you have to think about the opposite side yourself. And I don't know. It was a really, really interesting first little bit that I heard. It's not even that long. I think I listened to like the first 10 minutes. It was maybe halfway through. History. What was I listening to? I can't remember the name of it. It was, this right here. Power of subconscious mind power techniques.
Connected to iPhone and Galaxy Tab A2016.
Affirmation 20 minutes from now.
Louise Hayfilm, Greg Braden interview, take one.
Alright, so this is
training.
Power of subconscious mind power techniques. Greg Braden, shocking programming explained. Okay. This was published on October 26, 2013. I'm not sure if it was recorded before that or after that. I mean, before that, obviously, the 7 Essence mirrors. Oh, now that I'm looking through the next set of streams, he's linked with a couple other guys, because there's this one guy who comes up, Alan Watt, and I've listened to several of his lectures before. So this may not be too bad. Let's see what he has to say.
Scientist. My background's in the hard sciences, physical sciences, the earth sciences. In the 60s and 70s, when I received that training, there was no room for the possibility of the kind of things that we're talking about now, the kinds of things that suggest that our inner world and our inner thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs in any way affect the world around us. And it was through direct experience what I began to understand was that this is the great secret that everyone knows except us in the West. almost any other culture that we go to, from the monasteries in Egypt and Tibet and India and Bolivia and Peru, the indigenous traditions, little villages in the Andes Mountains, they all know that there is this experience that we can have inside of our bodies that affects our world in some way, and our science simply has not allowed for that historically. Well, I was trained as a scientist, and I was trained to look in the world around me for my answers, so I began to go to these places. I began to go into the monasteries, all the places that I mentioned. And it was through the direct experience of sitting in the presence of people who have lived and practiced the kinds of traditions that Louise Hay and the other authors I'm so blessed to be sharing the stage and this information with, that they teach about. And what we begin to understand is that this is the place where science got it wrong. Two places, two assumptions that science has made, modern science. And they're coming full circle and correcting that now. But the first one is that the space that we believe is empty is not really so empty. It's full of a living essence, of a living material that we're only beginning to understand, number one. And number two, the fact, and it is a fact now, that we may have experiences inside of our bodies that influence the world beyond our bodies through the conduit of what's in this space. So it was in going into the monasteries and the nunneries and speaking with the indigenous people, looking at them eye to eye, heart to heart, God to God, and I could say to these people, when you just performed that miracle, when you just performed that miraculous healing, what is it that you did inside of your body to make that happen? And if I didn't understand what they told me, I'd ask them again and again and again through the translators until I understood that they were creating an experience, producing an effect inside of their bodies that my science never told me was possible or existed. And that was the path that led me. I just want to emphasize, science is good. And I believe our science is good and served us well. It simply is incomplete. And so it was that path that allowed me to flesh out the missing pieces that we're only beginning to understand today, marrying the best science of our time with the wisdom, 5,000 years of wisdom of our past, into a greater understanding. And that understanding brings us right back to the question. That's a long answer to a short question. But it brings us back to where we're only now beginning to understand that there is something that we can do in our lives that influence not only the physical body, ours and those of other people around us, but literally influence the physical reality of our world, and that changes everything. It changes everything that we in the West believe about ourselves. So as a scientist, I've also come to understand this is a very different way for many people to think about themselves and their world. And I've found that there's a learning curve that our audiences and our friends and families and coworkers in my career, the Water Fountain, this is not something that people typically talk about in a technical organization. They don't wake up in the morning and say, what kinds of feelings, what kinds of dreams, what kinds of healings did you have over the weekend? And they're talking about who won the football game and who won the lotteries. But this is where it brings us, the relevance in our lives, because we all are having experiences every day. Whether we are consciously aware of it or not, those experiences are physically affecting our bodies and our world. But Western science now is beginning to understand, only in the last years of the 20th and now the first years of the 21st century, it is now a scientific fact that the space between things is anything but empty. It is full of a living, pulsating essence that is so new, scientists have yet to agree on a single term. Some are calling it a quantum hologram, very technical sounding name. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the former Apollo astronaut, I've had the honor of sharing a stage with him a number of times. He calls it nature's mind. Stephen Hawking calls it the mind of God. Others simply call it the field. In 1944, the father of quantum physics, Max Planck, identified the existence of this field, and he called it the matrix. He said, underlying everything that we see, our bodies included, everything we see in the world around us in our bodies, he said, there is the existence of what must be a conscious and intelligent mind. This is his language in 1944. He said that this mind is the matrix of all matter, and it's from his work that the movie series began and many of the ideas that we have today. So what we know is this, is that we have the opportunity to influence that field in ways now that we're only beginning to understand. It's done through the human heart. It's not a thinking process. Thoughts are important. The ancients made a distinction between thoughts and feelings and emotions. And it's the feelings that are centered in our heart, what are called coherent, heart-based emotions. We know that when we feel a feeling of love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, when we change the self-esteem, that there's an effect from that it changes the electrical and the magnetic fields in our heart, and that those fields literally change the stuff that our world is made of around our bodies. Our hearts are the strongest magnetic field in our bodies, and our hearts are the strongest electrical field in our bodies, much more so than the brain. While the brain does create those kinds of fields, the heart is many times stronger. And what the science now is showing is that when you can change the field that the atom is in, you change the atom, and we're made of those atoms. So when we have feelings in our hearts, we're changing the field that connects the stuff everything is made of, and we literally are altering our physical reality in ways that sound miraculous in Western science. But again, this is the great secret everyone knows except us, because Western science has only arrived at this understanding. You go to these ancient and indigenous traditions and cultures, it's where they begin. They begin with the understanding, sure, everything's connected, and sure, we're part of it. And then they take us one step further, and they say, here, I'll show you. I'll show you how to create the effects in your body so that you can heal your body, and you can heal the bodies of others. You can change your self-esteem, and your body will mirror that change. It doesn't have to be a long, slow, drawn-out process. It can happen very, very quickly. It can happen in a matter of minutes. We have video documentation from medicineless hospitals in Beijing, China, for example, where they understand these practices and they've employed them for several thousand years. And we can look into the body of a living woman with a cancerous tumor that Western science says is inoperable. And then we can watch as three practitioners that understand the language of human emotion. They create the feeling in their bodies. They're not looking at that tumor as an illness. They see that woman as whole, healthy, vital, completely enabled, fully capacitated. And as they feel that feeling strongly among themselves, her physical body mirrors that. And we can see it through sonograms. We can see that tumor disappear in less than 3 minutes. And that's how quickly reality can change. And this is where the disconnect comes in with Western science. Because I've shared this information with scientists and medical doctors all over the world, and they said, wow, it's a miracle. We're going to have to come back and study this, and we will as soon as we find a cure for cancer, or as soon as we find the cure to cure on a mechanical level, what they see as a mechanical process. And what we now know is our physical body is the outpicturing, is the mirror of something that is not so physical. And this is where science now is only arriving. The three practitioners in the medicineless hospital in Beijing did not judge that cancerous tumor. They didn't judge it right, wrong, good, or bad. They said it's a quantum possibility, and there are many possibilities. Of course, this is just one. They said, now we're going to choose another one. But this is subtle and very, very different way of looking at things, because they acknowledge what is and invite a new possibility rather than having a charge on what is there and feeling that somehow we have to manipulate or cut out, in the case of a tumor, or change, hammer the physical reality into submission. What they're doing is acknowledging that moment, that example, and they're changing it on the level of what we would call the quantum blueprint. They're feeling the feeling as if another possibility has occurred, and in doing so, allowing that possibility to replace the one that exists without judging the one that exists. I was an aerospace engineer in Denver, Colorado during the last years of the Cold War, 1980s, and it was when the famous brown cloud was inundating Denver, and we couldn't all drive on the same days. We had to carpool on different days. And one day I went to an engineer friend's house to do my carpool for that week, and I got there a little early. And I'd never been to his house before, and I said, could I use your bathroom? And I went in there, and he had little Post-it notes of affirmations all over the bathroom that said, my perfect mate is manifesting for me now. My perfect mate is manifesting for me now. We got in his car, and he had little Post-it notes all over the dashboard, the rearview mirror. My perfect mate is manifesting for me now. And, of course, I knew what his office looked like, and it was the same way. He had them all over the walls in the CRT. I said, does this affirmation work for you? He said, nah. He said, it never does. And I said, why do you think that is? And he said, well, look at me. Who'd want to be with somebody like me? I'm just an engineer. You know, he had a very low self-esteem about himself. And I began to think about the way that he was applying those affirmations, and other people have applied them very successfully. And what I found the difference was, for him, it was a thought process that never went beyond what was happening in his mind, in his own picturing, his own self-esteem. And the thought is important. The ancients are very clear about this in the Sanskrit text. They tell us that the thought is the image of the quantum possibility. So in other words, in the realm of all possibilities, everything already exists. My friend's perfect relationship and the worst one he'll ever have. The lightest of the light, the darkest of the dark. Our greatest healing and our greatest suffering, they're already there. And what they invite us to do in these ancient traditions is to reach into those possibilities with our mind. This is the power of the mind. And isolate, we lock in one of those possibilities. So now we have taken it and identified it. However, to bring it into this world, to breathe life into that possibility is the power of human emotion, our love for that possibility, or our fear of that possibility. Either one will work. To bring that quantum possibility into the particle reality of our everyday lives. We don't have to know that. It sounds very technical. We just have a feeling. But this is the science of, appears to be the science of how these things are working. So this is why our self-esteem is so important. When we feel, when my engineer friend felt that, why would anybody want to be with me, was what he said to me. The affirmation for him was an empty affirmation. It was a thought that had no energy to invite it into this world. And an example of just the opposite of that is I know of other people who have simply made a list of all of the attributes of a perfect partner in life, because this is what many people, I'm using as an example. It works in healing, it works in peace, but we're talking about relationships. They make a list of all those attributes, and then they come from the place that relationship is already happening. What is their life like? How is their life different now that perfect partner is there? How is their evening different? How do they spend their time differently? How do they feel when they wake up in the morning and share their lives with someone? And it's those feelings that they live throughout the day. It's not something you sit down and do for a minute and then you get up and walk away. Rather, it's something that we become. We live our lives as if these experiences have already happened, and in that way we invite them into our lives, and they happen frighteningly quickly for some people. It's amazing. I know people that haven't finished their list, and they go out for lunch or a cup of coffee while they're making the list, and the person they just brought them their lunch is the person that's on that list, and they fall in love and they're married 20 years later. I know people that's happened to. So it's about clarity. It's about specificity. It's about being personal. Being very clear that these are personal desires. Scientifically, it appears that this field, the divine matrix, it is a mirror and a bridge between our inner and our outer worlds. And it can only give us what we give it to work with. And the interesting thing is that we have been conditioned to feel the feelings of the things that we don't want in life and that we're afraid of. We wake up in the morning and we see the 6 o'clock news and all the things to be afraid of, and then we go through our day saying, oh, I hope I'm not going to see that today, or I hope it's not around the corner. And my question, so fascinating me, where do we learn to feel the things that we don't want rather than things that we choose to have? And how would our lives be different if we could cut through all of the static and simply choose in our lives what we would like each moment of each day, or our relationships, or our abundance, or our careers, or the peace in our families to look like? What would our lives look like if we could do that? And there's very good scientific evidence showing precisely what our lives would look like, because we would very quickly experience everything that we've created. As a scientist, one of the first things I had to understand, and again, my training, I was trained in the hard sciences, and there was no allowance for any inner experience to have an effect on our outer world to begin with. Number two, I was raised in a relatively conservative community in the Midwest. I was born in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. Excuse me, in that part of the world, when you talk about emotions, they kind of get lumped into this nebulous experience. So, thoughts, feelings, emotions are all the same thing. We really don't talk about them much. And by the way, as a male, we don't want to see much of yours. So that was my upbringing. So I began to understand when we go into the other cultures, and I am referring again and again to this wisdom. We had this wisdom in Western cultures that was lost in the 4th century. About 1700 years ago, was edited right out of our most cherished spiritual and religious traditions, the biblical edits of the 4th century. It was not edited from the other cultures that we have visited, and that's the value of going into these cultures. And they identify 3 separate yet related experiences that we all have in our bodies, and they literally call them thought, feeling, and emotion. And here's the difference. The thinking, they identify with the 3 upper energy centers of the body. The Sanskrit traditions have a 7 energy center or 7 chakra system that they work with. And they say the upper 3 are related to what we call thought or logic processes. So when we think about something, we picture it in our mind, that perfect relationship or peace between nations. But we can only invite it into our lives when we breathe the power of emotion into that thought. The emotion comes from the lower 3 of those creative centers in our bodies. So when we breathe the power of emotion into our thought, we imbue that thought with life. And those 2 energies meet in the one center that is not accounted for yet in our model. It's in our heart, or what scientists call the 7-layer liquid crystal oscillator in the center of our chest, but we'll just call it our heart, because that's what it does. Our heart is creating electrical and magnetic waves that are influencing the world around us based on what we think and the emotion that we breathe into those thoughts to create the feeling. So now we've just defined feeling. Feeling, by definition, from the Sanskrit tradition, is the union of thought and emotion that creates the feeling. Now what makes this really interesting is that those traditions say we are capable of only 2 primary emotions, love and whatever we feel the opposite of love is. And when you get really deep into the teachings, there are 2 aspects of the same thing. But what they say is when we have our thought, we are either breathing the love of that thought or our fear of that thought to create the feeling, and the feeling then becomes sadness or joy or compassion or anger. Those are not emotions, those are feelings. Now, for some people, they say, well, you know, you're nitpicking. What difference could it make? And these are the subtle differences between these ancient ways of viewing this inner technology. It's literally a technology, because we can have the same thought or the same affirmation and imbue it with a different emotion and have completely different feelings and create a different outcome. And this is the great secret that was edited out of our Christian and pre-Christian Judeo-Christian traditions. When 45 books were removed in the 4th century, 20 were taken out completely. Another 25 were condensed and rearranged. And we know this because we found the information now in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi Library, the Coptic, the Gnostic texts. So we know what those texts would have said if we had had them. But the interesting thing is, without those texts, we tend to rely upon the written word, the validation, to feel that power in our bodies. I think everyone senses or suspects that there is an untapped potential in the human body. I've been on every continent of the earth, and I've asked every audience I've ever been in, do you feel that that's there? And they say, yes, we feel there's something there, but we just can't quite get it. A feeling that there's more to us, but we rely on a written validation in a 5,000-year-old text or a scientific study to tell us that it's true. And this is, I think, the value of going into those texts is we get to see the words that literally say, in the Gospel of Thomas, the Lost Gospel of Thomas, it literally says, when these 2 become one, when thought and emotion become one, then you'll say to the mountain, move, and the mountain will move. And I used to think that that was a metaphor. And I now have seen enough to know that moving a cancerous tumor inside the body of a living woman, that's moving a mountain to me. And it's all done from marrying thought and emotion together. In 1998, I had my first journey into the highlands of central China and Tibet. And it was during that time we were given a personal audience with an abbot, who's an elderly leader of a particular sect in the monastery. And this abbot passed just a couple of years ago, so I'm glad that we spoke with him when we did. And it was this man, I asked the question that I asked every monk, every nun, I asked the shaman and Peru and Bolivia. I had the clearest response from this man. And I asked him a question. I said, when we see your prayers on the outside, and we see you in the chanting hall for 12, 16, 18 hours a day, and we see the bells and the bowls and the mudras and the mantras and the gongs and the chimes and the incense, when we see your prayers on the outside, I said, what are you doing on the inside? And this was the man that looked at me. He said, you've never seen our prayers, because a prayer cannot be seen. He said, what you see are the things we do to create the feeling in our body, and the feeling is the prayer. And then he turned the question on me, and he said, how do you do this in your culture? Through a translator. And I began to think about this and realize that when we lost the words in our most cherished spiritual traditions that tell us that feeling is a language that speaks to our bodies in this world, and we lost the words that validated that, we began to think that the words themselves were the prayers, and if we say, or the affirmations, and if we say those words the right number of times, the right time of day or the right time of year, that we've said our prayer or our affirmation, and then if it doesn't work, we get frustrated and we say, well, my prayer didn't work, or my affirmation's not working for me, because we lost the link with feeling and emotion. When I was in the monasteries in Tibet, and the abbot had passed, a new abbot took his place who was already in his mid-80s. He's the new young abbot. He's already in his mid-80s. And I asked him a question. This was in 2005. We just went back. And I asked him a question, and I said, what is the force in your tradition, in your belief system? What is the force that connects the universe? What's the force that holds everything together? And through the translator, he answered me with one word. And I thought I heard it incorrectly. And I said, would you do that again? And he came back and he answered me with one word, and he said, compassion. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, is compassion a force that holds everything together, or is it a feeling that we experience in our bodies? And he said, yes. And that was very powerful for me to understand that, because it says that we have the ability to feel in our bodies the stuff that holds this universe together. And we're really not so different from those quantum particles in the stars beyond us, or in the tumor that's in front of us, in the suffering of our loved ones, or in the peace between the nations. It's all part of the same thing. The challenge is to make it more than an intellectual exercise. How do we know we're part of all that is? One of the ways that helped me come to that realization, there was an experiment that was done in 1997 in Geneva, Switzerland. It made world headlines. 3,500 reporters from the science journals were there. They documented this experiment, and it didn't make the cover of Time magazine or USA Today, although I think it should have. And what the experiment showed, the bottom line, was that when you take the stuff our world is made of, a particle of matter, one particle, and even if you split that particle and send each portion to different locations, which is what this experiment did. They split one particle of matter and sent one particle 7 miles this direction, the other 7 miles that direction. They were 14 miles apart. And even though they were separated physically, they were still connected energetically. So that when one particle had an experience, they would disturb one particle, the other one acted like it was having the experience. Sometimes the other one would act like it was having the experience before the scientist even disturbed the first particle. And it's mind-boggling. They said, well, how can this be? But what this tells us is that once matter is physically joined, even when it becomes separate, the energy is still there that's connecting it. And this is why it's important to me, because if we go back far enough in time, all the particles of matter of this entire universe that are expanding were all meshed together in a single particle about the size of a green pea, is what scientists tell us today. It's what the computer models suggest.
Shami, what up?
A single green pea, it means that you and me and every one of our listeners, we were all once part of that same particle that creates this whole universe today. And even though those particles are now separate and expanding, and the studies show that they are, energetically we're all still linked.
Sure, A-Rod. This is going to be fantastic. Go ahead and tell me. Yeah, just trying to add some of these little highlights to her hoodie. It's all red, you know. Just red here, red there. I read this and I read that. But yeah, A-Rod.
We lost the information telling us we're a part of all that we see. We found ourselves in a very technological path without the wisdom of us being in the equation. So we thought that's the world out there and that we're separate from that world. And now what's happened is our technology has come so far that our very existence is threatened by the technology that we've developed, whether it's the wars or the viruses or the climate change. So I believe we've come full circle now to survive our time in history. We've got to write ourselves back into the equation. Our prayers, our affirmations, our beliefs, our language. And when they're spoken through the language of the heart, they have a direct, powerful, and immediate impact on our bodies and the world around us. And it invites us to be very, very aware of what it is that we truly hold in our hearts as the truth of our world, because we live that in our lives, from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark, the greatest fears and the greatest joys. What we're beginning to understand is that human emotion and feeling and belief is literally a language. It's a non-verbal language that this field recognizes and understands. And the field works in what we call real time. It doesn't know about a few minutes from now. So if you say in your affirmation, 20 minutes from now, I'd like for my perfect mate to manifest for me now, it doesn't know about 20 minutes from now. It is a real-time application, and this is why the key, and this is what the ancients say, and this is what the monks and the nuns tell us real-time today. They say to be very specific about what it is that we're choosing to have in our lives, because what we're doing, and it helps if we understand this, what we're doing is in the world of quantum possibility, in the soup, the nebulous soup of all possibilities, what we're doing is we're isolating, we're locking one into place. And if we're not specific about what that possibility is, then how can the field be specific about what it is that it gives to us? Whatever it takes to get us to the point where we can transcend the limits, the law.
Don't call me black no more. That word is only your color. It ain't facts no more. My cousin Kyle Duckworth said, know your worth. And doing it right and misheaded. We all been cursed. And he walked the earth. I got money to give, bitches to hit. Yeah. O's a flip. Yeah. That's what your blackness, your wokeness was about. Knowing that you're an Israelite. And so now what? That's what's up. Man, see, I'm an Israelite. Don't call me black no more. Words is on you, Kevin. It ain't facts no more. Somebody been listening to K-Dot. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a. I'm willing to die for this shit. Go eye for eye, take a life for this shit. And if I gotta slap a pussy ass nigga, I'ma make it look sexy. Like pull out, hop out, air out, make it look sexy. You gonna take me out my element? Nah, take me out my element. Damn if I do, if I don't. Oh, y'all thought y'all wasn't gonna see me on TV, huh? Ah! Because her hair is so long. And that's just her hair. Why is her hair so long? Because it's that long in the picture. Yeah, she got hella hair, yo. Like, that shit crazy, ain't it? Hella hair. I wish my hair was that long. I be fucking dabbing on these hoes. Dabbing on these hoes. Bitch. Look at my hair. Luxurious. You ain't got a mane like this. And do it around and missing it. We all been cursed. Ah, I got that thing stuck in my head now, man. Dang it. See? Why you wanna go and do that? Eh? Why you wanna go and do that? Alright, I'm gonna turn the music back on. Why you wanna go and do that? Oh, y'all really thought I was gonna turn the music on? The Harvey Dent type. Yeah, I took the picture. Which guy are you talking about? Oh, the Alright. Yeah, troll. Oh, the audio. Yeah, we didn't finish that. I meant to turn it back on. We were listening to, and I do apologize because I kept stopping and talking about other shit, breaking the flow. Greg Braden, Power of Subconscious, Mind Power Techniques.
Laws of physics and biology as we've known them in the past. We have a power within.
I'll rewind it a
all
little bit.
once part of that same particle that creates this whole universe today. And even though those particles are now separate and expanding, and the studies show that they are, energetically we're all still linked. When we lost the information telling us we're a part of all that we see, we found ourselves on a very technological path without the wisdom of us being in the equation. So we thought that's the world out there and that we're separate from that world. Now what's happened is our technology has come so far that our very existence is threatened by the technology that we've developed, whether it's the wars or the viruses or the climate change. So I believe we've come full circle now. To survive our time in history, we've got to write ourselves back into the equation. Our prayers, our affirmations, our beliefs, our language. And when they're spoken through the language of the heart, they have a direct, powerful, and immediate impact on our bodies and the world around us. And it invites us to be very, very aware of what it is that we truly hold in our hearts as the truth of our world, because we live that in our lives, from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark, the greatest fears and the greatest joys. What we're beginning to understand is that human emotion and feeling and belief is literally a language. It's a non-verbal language that this field recognizes and understands. And the field works in what we call real time. It doesn't know about a few minutes from now. So if you say in your affirmation, 20 minutes from now, I'd like for my perfect mate to manifest for me now, it doesn't know about 20 minutes from now. It is a real-time application, and this is why the key, and this is what the ancients say, and this is what the monks and the nuns tell us real-time today. They say to be very specific about what it is that we're choosing to have in our lives, because what we're doing, and it helps if we understand this, what we're doing is in the world of quantum possibility, in the soup, the nebulous soup of all possibilities, what we're doing is we're isolating, we're locking one into place. And if we're not specific about what that possibility is, then how can the field be specific about what it is that it gives to us? Whatever it takes to get us to the point where we can transcend the limits, the laws of physics and biology as we've known them in the past. We have a power within us that transcends those laws, that we're more than our mistakes, that we're more than the suffering, we're more than the limits that we believed in the past. And that is where I say, wow, that really inspires me.
Click like below and then click the link in the description box.
Alan Watt. Alan is an author, radio host, and deep researcher into the New World Order's long-term strategy of eugenics and more.
I'm Alan Watt, and I've been following politics and geopolitics for a good part of my life. I didn't start off deliberately going out to find out everything that was possibly going on. In fact, I had no idea, to be honest with you, how vast the scale of an agenda, a political agenda, is when you're bringing in a global society. Wars have many different purposes. Economics is only simply one big part of it, but cultural change and the building of empire through the defeated nations joining in leagues. Every country was basically signing the same laws, and had been in my whole life, at the same time, that affected their societies. Laws were introduced and bills were introduced unbeknownst to the people in those countries that it was being introduced in their neighboring countries or even across the water somewhere at the same time. I realized there was already a governmental control, obviously, that coordinated all of this, and it led me into the United Nations. For every single department of government you have on a federal, local, county, state, provincial level, the United Nations had an equivalent department to deal with everything. It was already set up, in fact, to be global government. H.G. Wells said at the League of Nations, which was the embryo for the United Nations, he said, this is the nucleus of the world governments, when eventually all laws will come from there, be passed and signed into law by treaty of all the member countries. Eventually, we won't even have to go through the farce, and that's what it is, of voting in parties or candidates, because in the latter part of the 20th century and now into the 21st century, we're being trained, rather obviously, to simply accept rule by experts, rule by scientists, rule by professionals, and that's what they mean when they call governance. That's the term used. How do you get a domesticated herd to move from a field, a system in which it's been grazing for 20, 50 years, this kind of system, to this field over here, this new field? Because we have reluctance to change. We like familiarity, we like routine, you see. You do it by various techniques, one of which is revolution. Most revolutions are bloodless. You have cultural revolutions, sexual revolutions. Along with that comes the music revolution.
Yeah, he talks about sports and stuff like that. Yeah, cutting through the matrix, yo. Cutting through the matrix on audio. I thought I had another one. I had a couple of Alan Watts on just audio. 11/23/09 is the date on there. I've been up on Alan Watt for years, yo. Not a bad guy. Not a bad source of information, man. Yeah, Alex Jones. I don't really fuck with Alex no more. I met Alex in 2012 at the Bilderberg protest in Virginia. I got a t-shirt that he signed. I got pictures with him and stuff, but like, I don't know. He started, he lost me way back when he went up against the Young Turks and just made up like this complete fucking lie about this incident that happened. I was like, dude, that is fucking crazy. You're just gonna lie like that to these people? I was like, alright. So I kind of fell back from him a little bit. Then he started supporting Trump, and I was like, yeah, I can't fuck with Alex no more, so I'm good. I tried to. At that time, Alex Jones was my hero, yo. His earlier stuff, I'll show you. Hold on. Yeah, here's oh, these wasabi peas are the shit. Here's some more Alan Watt. That's mostly just movies and stuff on there. And I don't even know why this Alan Watt is in that one. But then here, I've been looking for this CD. Well, these are my old master DVDs. We used to print copies of these up and pass them out for free on the weekends. But can you see it? It says Alex Jones on there. I don't know why I wrote on there with black Sharpie. Yeah, let me use black Sharpie on the black CD, but it does say Alex Jones DVD Arsenal. Yeah, Alex Jones. Used to pass the DVD Arsenal out. This was a Alex Jones film, Terror Storm. I think most of these were coming through Alex Jones. If he didn't help put them together, he helped fund them, or he just had them on his website. America Destroyed by Design. Another Alex Jones show, DVD Arsenal. The Masters of Terror. Oh, these are ones that Jones did himself. The Police State series. That's Police State Part 3, Total Enslavement. Alex Jones did this one right here, Fall of the Republic. Yeah, guerrilla style, just hand out, just rush motherfuckers like, here, I got some DVDs. Oh, I don't want to buy anything. I'm not buying, I'm not selling anything. I'm giving you a gift of knowledge and information. It's a gift. You can have it. I want you to have it. I want you to go home and watch this shit with somebody. Don't watch it by yourself. You get your kids, or if they're young, you get your parents, you get your cousins, your nieces, your aunts, your uncles, your best friend, your neighbor, your homie, whoever. And y'all get together and y'all watch shit like this, like 9/11 Mysteries. This is probably one of my favorite documentaries on debunking the official story of 9/11. Yeah, bro, like I've been doing this shit for years, bro. For years I've been doing all this shit. Wake Up Call. Like I'm telling you, every weekend, like every time we got new DVDs, we'll sit down, we'll watch the documentary or whatever, and make sure it's legit, make sure we can agree with, the majority of the information, if not everything 100%, but make sure it was good, solid information and good material. So we'll go through it, analyze them ourselves. Then throughout the week, my homie, he'll go get 100 blank DVDs and he'll burn up 100 copies of, let's say, 4 different deep documentaries, and just make 25 copies of each documentary. So one week he'll do Wake Up Call, Money Masters, Terror Storm, and Police State Part 1. And then I'll do 100 blank DVDs of, Vaccine Dangers, Food Inc. and other Reflections and Warnings was a good one. And so I have 100 DVDs burnt up, and he'll have 100 DVDs burnt up. Then on the weekends, we'll just have, 200 DVDs, 25 of each one, and we'll just pass them out to different people, wherever there was large groups of people. Oath Keepers, free DVD. We had to start writing free on it. Like I'm not trying to sell it to you. It says free right there. It's free. Oh, Police State Part 2, Total Takeover. David Icke, this was a really good one. Our Time to Shine. David Icke was the first person who really kind of woke me up. In 2000, I read his book called The Biggest Secret, and he touched on all kind of topics in that book, man. I was like blown away by that shit. But just by reading David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, it made me start researching different topics and looking into different things, and it was, I don't know, it really like opened up the trail for me initially. Oh yeah, that's central. Oh yeah, you know about that Money Masters. Yo, it was done in 1996, 95 or 96. I forgot the dude's name, but he's kind of like a Ben Stein, kind of dry, not really monotone, but almost, but full of information, yo. It's a long ass documentary too, man. This motherfucker put like 3 hours of information together, going all the way back through the Rothschild dynasty, the motherfucking the Federal Reserve Act. You know what I'm saying? The whole banking cartel, fucking fractional reserve lending, fiat currency. Hell, he break the whole system down, yo. The whole motherfucking system down. Money Masters. That's one of my. I done watched Money Masters like 5 times, yo. Hidden Dangers in Kids Mills. Ooh. The Obama Deception. This was a really good one, Alex Jones documentary, Endgame. I think this was the first time I heard about the Bilderberg Group was in Endgame. Fabled Enemies. Oh yeah, when you understand currency and the influence of money, and knowing that money isn't the end all be all. It's the power, yo. It's all about power and control, man. Money ain't shit, cause think about the people who make money. The people who own the printing presses to print currency. That shit don't matter to them. They making it out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? They just buying up debt and selling this stock and selling that shit don't fucking matter. It's all about the fucking control, manipulation. Flu vaccines. Another vaccine dangers, because my son elementary school got mad when I brought in a religious exemption form telling the school system my son doesn't have to take motherfucking vaccinations to come to your fucking classes, and they're like, yes he does. And I'm like, no he don't. And I went down to the state, to the courthouse, got that shit notarized. Alex Jones show. 9/11, Road to Tyranny. Some chemtrails. Yeah, and back to that on that Money Masters, yo. If you want to know about money, if you want to know how crazy money is and how sinister these fucking banking cartels are and how bad central banks are, and why it seems like some people are really rich and some people are really poor. What is all that about, yo? Why is it like that? Watch this, yo. Money Masters. Very, very good documentary. This is hours. You're not gonna get this in any college seminar anywhere, yo. This right here is a degree. This is a degree in government conspiracy. You know? That's how I look at that shit. That's a degree in government conspiracy right there. Once you watch hours and hours and hours and hours of that shit, will show you how to be free. We're already free to an extent. You know what I'm saying? It's all our prison is mental, yo. Word up. We're trapped in the prison of the mind. Because the system has domesticated us just like animals to go along, to get along. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucking reinforced feedback. You do whatever I tell you to do, I give you a treat. You do something I don't want you to do, I'ma fuck you up. And so everybody just stays in their place, keeping themselves in prison until you start thinking outside of the box. Yeah. Well, true freedom, man, that shit is within you. Nobody can't give you freedom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fractional reserve lending too. You give me $10, I'ma loan out 9 of them. You know what I'm saying? So you can't come back and get your $10, even though I'm saying I got it in there. I got the asset, except I already loaned out 90% of it. You know? So don't come asking for your whole $10 back at one time, because I'm flipping that money, making other money off of it. Saying that I got my reserves, my federal reserves, when there is none. Liberties granted by the government. Okay. All right. I've been here about 2 hours already, and it's almost midnight. The great dumbing down of humanity.
Etc. These literally are designed to alter and direct culture, knowing what kind of culture they'll have at the very end of it too. They know exactly what kind of culture they want to come out of it. You also can do it through crisis creation. Crisis after crisis has been hit on the people of the world since 9/11 happened. And we must understand that the techniques that are used abroad are also used at home in warfare. And we heard the term shock and awe. Shock and awe on the hard force level, as they call it, is bombs, all kinds of acoustic equipment to nullify enemies, scare the hell out of them through voice to skull and so on, which was used in Gulf War I, and it's all over the British media. But you can also use shock and awe on your domestic people again. You do it by crisis after crisis until the public are so terrified. See, the average person has a sort of confidence that they build up where they think, I can manage most things that come my way. Whatever little crisis in my life, what happens to other people, I can deal with. When all those around you are getting scared at the same time as you because of losing their jobs, they've been threatened with pandemics, terrorists everywhere, terrifying people to even get on subways, and so on. And all those around you, as I say, are also in the same boats. You tend to be more easily directed by the powers that be to come out and speak with authority and confidence over you. That's why they give you a guy like Obama, who's trained in oratory. He was trained in oratory, not in truth, but in oratory, the technique of persuasion. Shock and awe, as I say, is a technique of making a person and a whole population punch drunk. And each one of those fears, you see, you understand, the average person can handle one major crisis in their personal life, maybe two at the same time. It's understood in psychology and many, many studies that if you have maybe 3 to 4 crises hitting you personally in your life at the same time, you will literally go into an incredible depression, a reactive depression. You can't cope. That's understood. Apply that technique on a whole population. The thing is, there's not one of these crises that we're being told about that you personally can do anything about. What can you do about terrorism if it really exists all over the place? It's out of your hands, you're helpless. What can you do about a coming pandemic? It's out of your hands, you're helpless. What can you do about a nuke getting set off in New York Harbor or wherever? You can't, you're helpless. The message you're getting is that you're utterly helpless to defend, help, or save yourself. That is complete shock and awe tactic. It's been used not only in the US and Canada, but across the world. Same strategy, because we're already global with the global society running us all. Massive psychology and warfare techniques in psychology has been used across the planet to make us succumb to fear and crises, as I say, and none of which we can actually do anything about on an individual level. Therefore, the leaders are presented to us on screen with uniforms or business suits and ties as politicians who speak with confidence, all scripted, of course, and they seem to have everything under control. You're now basically a fearful slave looking up to the powerful master to defend and protect you. That's the simple technique of it. I've been speaking about the Rockefeller Foundation. I was mentioning the fact that in the United States, the Rockefeller Foundation, which also runs, I think it is the Carnegie Foundation today, maybe even the Ford, they're all combined, and the families that are given the intergenerational rights, if you like, or authority to lead the world to amalgamation under global governance. Mr. Rockefeller also is heavily involved in the world depopulation strategies. He funds abortion clinics across the planet. He also funds hundreds of other front foundations that you would think were independent from his, but they're actually front foundations. He funds them all through his money. You can trace them all back again to so-called family planning clinics across the entire globe, especially in the third world countries. It seems that Mr. Rockefeller is intensely worried about overpopulation in the near future from countries which will have no industry, etc. And he sees it as his right to start the decimating process, basically, of depopulation. Last winter, I got an invitation to attend something called the World's Citizenship Council, the annual meeting. That kind of floored me because the head of the World Citizenship Council is Mr. Rockefeller himself. And here I am speaking out about and against them. So this did not come out of the blue. They try and get you on board working for them. What was also more startling was they always give members maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes to speak, and I was offered that to speak on stage to this world meeting. The world's citizenship idea is part of the old idea of Cecil Rhodes, up into Lord Milner, to the Royal Institute for International Affairs and the Council on Foreign Relations. Mr. Rockefeller is up on Google in some of his conferences giving out world citizenship.
So, Cecil Rhodes was one of the top guys at De Beers. If he wasn't the owner of the De Beers company, the diamond mining company, and so he was one of the main guys who went into South Africa, took over all of South Africa, called Zimbabwe Rhodesia. Yeah, Cecil Rhodes, man, that motherfucker was vicious, yo. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is no longer Zimbabwe. We're gonna call this Rhodesia. Like, Why? Oh, because look at these ancient ruins. Black people couldn't have done this. This had to be the work of Europeans. Hey, get the fuck. What the hell, dude? I swear, yo, Cecil Rhodes and King Leopold are some of the worst people to study about in history, yo. Yeah, you know, they go in they mine all the precious gems, and they go lock them shits up in a vault somewhere. They say, oh, what diamonds? Oh, no. These diamonds are very rare. Very rare. You'll never find these diamonds, these yellow canary diamonds, anywhere else. Yeah. The beers. Cecil Rhodes and his Rhodesia. Stupid apartheid.
Awards to very famous people. So they've already bypassed and have.
And that's a bad combination. Racist and powerful. Killer, you kill a lot of people like that. Get a lot of people murdered like that.
Past sovereign nations a long time ago. What other benefits you get from being a world citizen, I'm not certain at all. But I was allowed, he said I'd be allowed to speak at this conference. He did not say what to speak about, so he didn't say anything about what not to speak about. And he also said that this chairman, of course, who wrote to me, he also said that I'd be allowed to participate in the round table groups which come after. The round table society is very, very important because the round table societies were set up as far back as the Milner Society and the Rhodes Foundation. They came out with the first round table societies. What they do is take the topics that are discussed at the main meetings, then they split off different tables to specialize in certain aspects of the speeches they've heard and find ways how to implement them into reality through media, promotion, various methods of propaganda and so on. I did not attend. I was tempted to go just to see if they would ask me not to speak about certain things, but it was the middle of winter and the journey to this university would have been pretty hectic anyway, and I was so busy. But you will be approached, and that's not the first time I've been approached to do this kind of thing. You'll find that some people are bought over. I should go back to Lord Bertrand Russell on this topic, because Lord Bertrand Russell said in one of his own books, the same book in fact, where he talks about those children who manage to escape the indoctrinations, who have intelligence and an ability to communicate to others, must be brought on board the system, employed by the system, bribed into the system if possible. That generally works with most people. He said, otherwise we shall have to eliminate them, because they did not want people around who understood an agenda that the general public are unaware of. Didn't want these people with the ability to communicate information, documented information, in a fashion that people understand out in the community where they could spread this word. That ties in with Mao Zedong, who said he was not afraid of armies. His worst fear was someone with a good idea, a great idea, a unique idea, and the ability to communicate it. So that is how they treat basically people with information. First comes invitation to join them. Many people do. As I say, Bertrand Russell backed that up by saying if they can't be brought on board, they must be literally eliminated from the public arena. That's how seriously they take this agenda at the top. They don't mess it around. The reason I think they don't simply come out and kill you straightforward is they don't have to do a messy job. There's many ways of killing you, especially in this day and age. But I think, to be honest, they're so arrogant right now at this moment. They're not too worried about the mass of the general population who are indoctrinated and updated with their indoctrination daily, as one example. About 100 years ago, this big organization with many branches, they wanted to rule the world basically using Britain as a nucleus of a system, an embryo, which also was going to be joined with the US under the Anglo-American establishment, wrote about the kind of culture and the changes of culture over a 100-year period that they would actually design. We're all tribal to an extent. That's why we even bother to vote for a tribal leader. This is well understood. That's why we're supplied with these leaders. And because the average man was to become more disengaged from his own destiny as the expert class arose, it was decided that the males would get their outlet, basically, gradually becoming helpless as males, through sports. Therefore, they'd have a tribal team they could identify with. They could cheer them on as they were winning. In their own personal lives, they were getting nowhere. They were getting disenfranchised, in a sense, as experts took over decision-making for them in all kinds of fields. So this was psychology at use, planned before they even implemented the sports. When radio came along, of course, they used that to the maximum. Sports for the men, radio soaps, basically, for the women. And then in came television, as I say, with its alpha state, its hypnotic state. It took off. It really, really took off. And men became glued to the sports shows. The big think tanks, and we've had think tanks to do with always planning the future and how they would create societies and even different cultures within 100 years, say, from this type of society to that society to the next society, how they'd implement it, and again, always through the youth culture, which is easy to do if you have universal education. You can always mandate the same system, same culture to be taught to the youth. However, as I say, since the 1960s, once television really, really took off, sports used to only come out on Saturdays, and over a 10-year period it gradually came on every night of the week until today we have even sports